Hi everybody, my name is Lorna and I work with Dan and Luca at Wareful. Thank you for joining me today. This is a short video to give you a tool to be able to manage your worries. And of course it's so natural that people do worry, particularly in times like this. There's always things to worry about, and worrying is actually a very useful thing to be able to do because it helps you try out in your imagination different scenarios by taking different actions and looking at the possible outcomes of that. What can happen though when we have lots of worries at the same time is we can begin to ruminate and go on a continuous loop of worrying without taking action. So today I'm going to share with you an acronym, so a tool that you can use to deal with your worries. This is called LECRO. I've used LECRO myself and found it very helpful for myself, and of course many people during the course of my work elsewhere at the Women's Refuge. And it's a way to look at your worries, assess them and take small actions to take control and be able to manage them in an effective way. Okay, so you'll need a piece of paper and a pen. Okay, so I've prepared mine earlier. So this is, you can see this very well. Okay, so LECRO I've written at the top. Okay, so we'll be going through each of these. So if you just want to write LECRO at the top, and I'll explain what to do as we go along. So first of all, getting a nice big piece of paper, spend some time thinking about your worries currently, and you're going to list them. So here it's not about doing anything else except for writing them down, and there can be as many as you have, so make sure you get a nice big piece of paper so everything is down on the piece of paper. And this is effective in a number of ways. The act of actually writing them down, you're engaging your logical and thinking brain. Okay, so when you have a lot of worries, you can go into the fight or flight response or freeze. And so this is about engaging your logical brain. And so once you've completed your list, so like I say, just writing as many as you have down on the piece of paper, you'll then, so that's the L in LECRO, and then next is the E, which is about evaluating. So you'll go through each of the worries one at a time and evaluate it on a score of 1 to 10. So 1 obviously just pretty relaxed about it, it's a worry but not causing you concern. 10 is causing you extreme concern. So you just take your time here, just going through and evaluate each one until you have your full list scored from a scale of 1 to 10. And then we move on to C, which is controllability. Quite often we have worries that there are actually very little action that you can take about it. The worry is completely out of your control. Okay, so really the only thing you can control in that circumstance is how you think and feel about it. So knowing that you have no control over that, you can just focus on your other worries, the things that you can do, and put those to one side. Then we have R in LECRO, which is reduce. So you have your list of worries, they've been evaluated on a score of 1 to 10. You've moved to one side the things you can't control. And so the next thing is to, by each one of your worries, think of one small action that you can take to reduce the number. So say you have a worry which is scored at 7. What a very small action that you could take, a manageable action, to reduce that to a 6. So you go through this process, you go through each one of the worries that you have control over, and think of one small action you can take to reduce how you're feeling about that from, say, 6 to 7 to a 6, or whatever the number is, just by reducing it by 1 point. Okay. And then, so at the end of that process, you'll have a list of small actions that you can do to reduce your worries. And lastly, you order those order your actions. So there might be something you can do literally this moment. So for example, if you're worried about your stress levels, for example, one small action that you could do is a guided meditation, or focusing on your breathing. So breathing out slower than you breathe in actually stimulates a relaxation response in the body. So there might be other actions that aren't possible to do right now. So you might have something that you're able to do later today, tomorrow, next week. So you have your list of actions and the order that you're going to tackle them or take action with them. So this can be really beneficial because it's about taking control and taking action, and there's less chance of the continuous loop of rumination, and this will have the added effect of also being able to help you sleep better at night. And so you can repeat this process at any point. What I would recommend that you do also is to set a time during the day where you won't be disturbed, a certain time in the day. To prevent your continuous worry loop is setting a time each day to have, for example, a worry half an hour, worry hour, so that other point during the day, and you notice those thoughts, those intrusive worrying thoughts coming into your mind, you can just notice that and think, right, okay, that's what I'm going to be dealing with at whatever time is convenient for you. Okay, so it's about retraining your brain and setting that aside to a certain point in the day so it doesn't disturb your entire day. So there's two things, there's LECRO and there's worrying half an hour. And so, you know, it takes practice and it takes time to push those thoughts to one side and deal with them at one point in the day. But just as soon as you notice, just say, okay, I'm going to deal with that later. And like I say, any time that is convenient for you to do. And then you might decide that you don't really even want to be worrying every single day about certain things. So you could decide to have a certain day of the week or a couple of times a week where you'll actually just purely focus on dealing with your worries. I do hope you found this small talk helpful and interesting. I'd love to know your feedback, if this has been helpful for you, or if there's any other topics you'd like me to talk about. So that's it from me. Thank you very much for joining me, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.